So a good friend asked me about how ALS has affected my eating. Has there been any changes in that area? I've been very fortunate thus far that I haven't had any significant issues with eating. I haven't had to change my diet by much. I do have to be really cautious about when I'm eating or drinking that I try to avoid talking, laughing, or anything because I tend to choke very easily now. I'm sure you notice that I swallow a lot more than normal. It's because my saliva just seems like it's just constantly flowing, which drives me a little crazy. But as far as food, my doctors instructed me to eat as much as I possibly can when I want, however I want, whatever I want. Doesn't matter. I can eat it. And I've taken full advantage of that, if I'm quite honest. But I haven't really lost my appetite as much as some people do. I have I had acid reflux before ALS, and now it's even worse. Uh, Now that ALS is full effect, I'm not quite sure why that is. I'm sure it has something to do with your body's ability to hold back things through muscular and whatnot. Anyway, um, I have to be careful about how I'm swallowing liquids, especially um, when I start losing weight due to not being able to eat. Because eventually, what happens is uh, it gets difficult to swallow, to impossible to swallow or chew, for that matter. So when the time comes, I will have to make a decision on whether I'm going to have the trach inserted, and you know, because my breathing is getting worse, which I'll talk a little bit more about later. But as these things progress, I will have to have a feeding tube, and which means they will have to put me on more of a liquid diet. There's not a ton available that you can feed somebody through a feeding tube that is going to bring them pleasure, because you don't get to enjoy food when you're on a feeding tube. But a lot of people, I've been talking to a lot of people with ALS and their caregivers, and a lot of people do their best to blend up um, a lot of foods that the people enjoy. Um, it's not the same, of course, because they're not really tasting it. But I'm hopeful that I will be able to retain my ability to eat for a long time, because that's the one thing I truly enjoy. I did lose some weight initially, especially after I had my couple of falls in a row. I just wasn't able to eat much, so I lost quite a bit of weight. But I quickly rebounded and gained it all back. I do monitor my weight on a regular basis, but thank goodness so far I'm not having any major issues with eating. I'll probably have to update this in the near future, but for now, that's where we stand, and I'm grateful for it.